Welcome to Your TV on Create TV, Comcast Channel 15. Your TV is produced, edited, filmed, and edited by Create TV volunteers and interns who also do the set, the lighting, the sound, and operate the control room, sometimes with a little help from Create TV professional staff. Our show today is a panel discussion with members of the Low Income Self-Help Center talking about living on the edge in Silicon Valley. The Low Income Self-Help Center is a very grassroots and multicultural organization The Low Income Self-Help Center is a very grassroots and multicultural organization believing that everyone deserves dignity, respect, and a decent quality of life. They came together because they were alarmed by the widening gap between rich and poor in Silicon Valley. Our guests today are Catherine Bach, who will moderate, Peg Elwell, Rose Wallace, Shirley Stager, and Ora Nash. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. The Low Income Self-Help Center is an old-fashioned grassroots community center, and we've been there for 17 years. People come to our center to use the phone, the fax, computers, and for help with computer use, applying for jobs, housing and needed services, and a sympathetic ear. We often provide one-on-one advocacy in these areas. We share the building and provide meeting space for other community groups and our leaders in the movement fighting for our economic human rights to health care, social services, and affordable housing. Our monthly Community for Change meeting, of which we're all a part, and second monthly group are our space for political education, mutual support, and movement building, and great food. My fellow members here today are going to share what it is like to struggle to live on the edge of Silicon Valley. It's hard not to feel dispossessed and displaced here, where the tech revolution has sat down on top of us, basically. We hope our stories and thoughts help others to feel less isolated and alone and feel empowered to speak out. And importantly, to understand that this crisis is not of our making. San Jose has one of the highest homeless populations in the country. Our state's child poverty rate is one of the highest. We pay outrageous rents, sometimes 3/4 of what we can scrape together and more. Educational opportunities have become out of reach. Most of us has lived and worked here all of our lives or many years. We worked in manufacturing components for the very companies who are building the robots who are replacing our jobs and those all over the world. The seeds of the very technology which is dispossessing us came from public-funded military and universities. Yet the companies who are reaping the rewards of this tech revolution are starving our public coffers of monies for education, healthcare, and communities, and driving us out of our own communities. They pay little or no taxes, parking trillions offshore, and not only federal taxes, but they also dodge local and state taxes, threatening to pull out if they have to pay while congesting our communities and pricing us out. They exploit workers who live and work here. Since this high-tech revolution, underemployment, part-time jobs have been the norm. 4 to 10 people who work do not have full-time work. 77% earn less than $15 an hour. 45% lack access to job-based health insurance, and 25% qualify for Medi-Cal, our state's Medicaid. 11% are on food stamps while working. The companies use all of these ill-gotten profits to pay politicians to create more tax breaks for the companies. But the good news is, I know that sounded like a long list of bad news, but the really exciting news is that movements of people are coming to the fore. I mean, there's so much action happening, and they're fighting for our right to living wages and housing, and we're very happy to be part of some of that movement. Thank you. Rose Wallace is going to speak next.
Hi, my name is Rose Wallace. I live in Silicon Valley. I moved from Southern California for looking for a better job for myself and for my children. I ended up homeless in 2004. My uncle died on the streets in Silicon Valley. I worked for Santa Clara County Office of Ed as a 5.5-hour employee who really worked six as a special ed paraeducator, a working class citizen now on disability, living on the edge of Silicon Valley, paycheck to paycheck, wondering if this will be the day I end up homeless again. In 2015, I was served with a 90-day notice to vacate the premises, an eviction for me to move out. They had no just cause. Just move, I was told. I looked in the mirror and I asked myself, will I be homeless again? Will my son be displaced? Will I have to move out of Silicon Valley? Will I end up in a shelter? Where would I go? Who can I turn to? Thank God that I had enough sense to fight for my home, that I had people to turn to like Peggy and Catherine, a place where I could go, a place where I could feel safe. Different scenarios still plague my mind daily, the what ifs, and what could happen next, not only to me, but to those who are living paycheck to paycheck, those who ended up on the street, those who are on disability and Social Security. All of us are living on the edge right now in Silicon Valley. Thank you. My name is Rose Wallace.
Hi, my name is Peggy Elwell, and I have what you might call a precarious retirement. I worked as a librarian for the city of San Jose for 25 years, but because I did not work full-time, I did not get a pension when I retired. Instead, I have what is called deferred compensation, which is much less and is really only enough for a few years. I would add that many librarians are part-time, and this is a situation that a lot of them face. Because that deferred compensation is from a government entity, the Social Security that I receive from previous employment is reduced by 2/3 because of what is called the government pension offset or windfall elimination program. This also affects a lot of teachers. So if you worked for Social Security before you worked for a government entity, you don't get the full return of Social Security that you're supposed to get. They say that, you know, we're reaping too many benefits. This is part of the overall attack on public pensions, such as what Chuck Reed did in San Jose, and which for rank and file government employees can make life very difficult in retirement. I also want to mention that I have a friend who's 82 years old who had to leave San Jose, where she had built up over 30, 40 years, many friends and connections, because the house was sold out from under her. She had ended up having to move to Pittsburgh. Anyway, although I do have some other resources, it's not enough to live on. So I found myself having to piece together the remainder of what I need as an on-call or extra help librarian in various libraries as needed, a little bit here and a little bit there. And I feel like I'm going to be becoming a gypsy, sort of an itinerant librarian moving from place to place. And I feel that really that's something I have in common with a lot of millennials now who are piecing together a living a little bit here and a little bit there. So anyway, that's my story.
Thank you. Shirley. Hey, good evening. My name's Shirley Steger. Living on the edge, I see as being multifaceted. It impacts so many of us in so many ways. And I believe that there are those that are living on the edge and haven't even acknowledged it. For the last 13 years, with being a single parent, I was working 7 days a week, 2 jobs, so I could live here. And then about a year ago, I was laid off from my second job. And at the same time period, my son lost his place of living and then ended up living with me with his 6-month-old son. He's still there over a year later, and he's not able to find a place that he can afford to live. And this is very frustrating to him. You know, he's an adult man and doesn't feel like he should be living with his mother. It's a very crowded situation. He's not even to be living there, so that creates a lot of stress. It has helped me out in the regards of I'm not buying groceries, and he's a good cook, so in that way, it's good. My heart also goes out to the influx of the growing homeless population, and some of those people I've met this past year had homes and ended up losing them because the rents are jacking up 500 addition a month in one whack, and that then they're out, they don't have anywhere to go. The expense has become so high. I listen to co-worker stories as an HR representative, as a state employee, that they come to me and they say, my rent's going up additional $200 next month. I don't see a pay increase. What am I to do? What am I going to do? And I hear those stories are heartbreaking, and I hear the stories at the low-income self-help center where you go home and cry. We are definitely living on the edge. This hard-working community that has always been a home for many people has now become this green-eyed monster that people are worrying from day to day what's going to become of them. Since last summer, I've lost 5 neighbors now. I just lost another neighbor that moved out Mother's Day because in all of them, where their rent control doesn't apply to these units, their rents have gone up $400 to $500 more a month. In the past, I could pay 35% for rent years ago, but now my rent is 70% of my take-home pay. So I don't think they really take into consideration that you have other bills, and then you still need to buy food. Another facet I see for living on the edge is the stress. I could feel it. I could feel that people not being as friendly as they once were, like riding the light rail to work, where you could see they don't want conversation. They just, put on their earphones, and it's become a colder city, and it's, I don't know the answers. I know we need to stop talking and take action. We have joined up, like Catherine said, there are different actions we're taking, and we're forming coalitions with other groups in regards to the housing issues with San Jose City Council. But I will say that is a tough row, because when you have city council members that are property owners themselves, it makes it difficult to really go further. And that's personally how I see living on the edge, and it does impact your health, and it impacts your well-being, and it impacts your peace of mind. So this is my home. I grew up here. Yeah, I see that I'm trying to find a way out. So that's it for me.
Hi, my name is Aura. Excuse me. I was homeless twice. I used to do nursing, medical work, and I've been on housing for a long, long time. And I lost my housing once, probably about 15 years ago, because I couldn't find a place in time. Excuse me. And when you don't find a place, a certain amount of time, they take your voucher. And at the time when I first got on there, they was giving vouchers and certificates. So I had to rent. A friend of mine's with me. I have 2 kids. We stayed in his garage and rented a garage, and in a motel for a while and here and there, and it was really hard, and I got laid off at almost the same time. And my daughter was homeless about probably about a year ago. About 2 years ago, she was homeless. I don't know, for 1 month she decided not to pay her rent. Why, I don't know, I didn't ask her, but she was homeless and she had lost her, they took a voucher because, because of that. And what happened was that housing made a mistake, and because of their mistake, that was their loss and her gain, she automatically got a housing back because they made a mistake on something. And on the hearing, you know, because after you lose your housing, they give you a hearing so many days, and they didn't call her for the hearing or anything, and they made a mistake. And the man over housing, which Alex, he called and automatically gave her a housing back, and she was really, really lucky. And she got on housing when it was in the newspaper that time. My daughter and my son, they got lucky. And she's doing okay now, and I am too, but it's really hard living from day to day because she's not working. And she get like unemployment check, and it takes almost all of that because she just only have a studio. She was supposed to get a 1-bedroom, but she only have a studio, and she can't even find a 1-bedroom. And everywhere she go, they tell her there's a waiting list of at least 1 year. So it looks like she's stuck in a studio. So it's really hard. But anyway, I'm happy that she got lucky and got her housing back. It was their mistake. Everybody make mistakes sometime. Glad they did. But anyways, and I'm on housing also still, so thank God for that. So that's it.
Is there something people would like to add, or are there questions? I wanted to add also that as a person I'm 68, and I've put in a lot of time and effort into this work that we're doing. And I also live in fear. Again, my roommate and I, and I'm her aide, she has Section 8, thank goodness. But we live in fear every time. And even if you have that, or even if you're steady in your apartment, able to pay for your apartment, you're at the whim of a landlord. And they keep seeing, you know, more and more dollar signs. And you never know from year to year. And there's something that they do, it's really hard to live this way, but the way that I started thinking of it as living on the edge of Silicon Valley is that I was putting my body through all kinds of really difficult things, trying to clean up in a hurry for an inspection. They inspect you all the time. And so you don't have the privacy and you don't have the peace of mind that it's your own home. And yet they don't want to fix stuff. But they want to make sure you're not wrecking it, I guess. I don't know. But so it's dehumanizing. It really is. And I've never lived anywhere. I've lived all over the country. I've never lived anywhere where they raised the rent every year, where they inspected you every year. It's just, it's real. You're living on the edge.
I got to tag on to Catherine because I've had the same experience in living in other parts like Montana, Sacramento, Arizona. I've never had the experience I've had here, never. And I've lived in a number of rentals since I've lived here. I've lost count of how many rentals I've lived in, just trying to keep up with the cost. And yet when I research some of the history to the rental, every single one I've lived in, except for maybe the apartment complex in Campbell, but all the other private places, I discovered that their mortgages were paid off. So by them charging what they charge is pure income. And then for them to charge as, you know, I know that right now with what's happening in my neighborhood, I'm just saying a lot of prayers because I think my landlord's already gotten wind of what he can get now. So of course I worry deeply that if I was to get an increase, then I'm going to probably have to be forced to take an early retirement and leave. And this is my home. San Jose is my home. I grew up here. I have family here. I don't want to be far from my grandchildren. You know, and it hurts to see others that are really suffering, where they're good working people, and this is also their home, yet being taken over by this draconian society. I see it as a draconian society that's happening right now with the tech industry, all the city halls. I'm sorry, but I believe there's all kinds of suggestions that can be looked up, like start doing something about those top floors of the businesses downtown San Jose. There's lots of living space up there. Yeah, so it's time to take action.
Shirley and Rose have been really deeply involved in this current go-round of fighting for better rent relief. We all got a little bit involved in fighting for just cause. Nothing went exactly like we hoped it would, but nobody's giving up, and there's a new, coming out of that, from what I understand, there's work on trying to fight locally, like in apartment complexes or in neighborhoods, for rent relief. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Rose?
Well, I know that the best thing right now is to organize. So I'm asking my neighbors, and I'm trying to get them involved, so that way we could start organizing an association.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to get together and we need to stand together in unity, so that way we can fight and win. You know, I want to be on the winning side. I want to win. I want to be able to feel safe in my community and be able to say, yes, I was a part of history. And yes, we did win, and we are going to win this rent control. And hopefully, all of us will be able to unify and just gather together and do what we need to do. We need more involvement.
I'm in your court.
But why would they ask you to move? If I don't understand why you said they didn't give you a reason. I thought they had to give you a reason to move. I mean, what?
Well,
I
that
don't
is the
understand.
law.
I'm kind of curious.
Well, that is the law. And
What is the law?
The law is that they have to have a
Reason?
reason
Oh.
to evict me.
So they
had
didn't
no
have a reason?
to evict me.
You didn't do anything? Because
I
I
didn't.
don't
I
understand.
didn't do anything like that.
'Cause
So I
they're
was
supposed
able
to have a
get.
reason.
I was able to get a lawyer, and they rescinded, and I was able to sign my lease. So I'm still there in my apartment, but I
you
had to
still
fight
don't know.
for
They
it.
might do that to you again, and you
And
might
that's
really
what I
have to
live in
move.
fear of every day.
That's why
So-
we all
living
feel
on
like
the edge.
So you better really go by the rules, because they can do
I
that.
am going by the rules, but I am going to organize too. There's
right.
powers.
Yeah, well.
There's power in numbers.
Right.
That's
So
right.
I'm going to fight, and I'm going to stand
right.
up, and I'm going to organize and get people together.
And she's
That's
brave.
where I'm at right now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a little bit more time. Would others of you like to chime in?
I also wanted to mention that I have a young man living with me who's a former foster, came from the foster care system, and when he emancipated at age 18, he didn't have anywhere to go, and he ended up in my house. And he did get a little housing help for a couple of years, but I know that he will, he pays me some rent, but he would never be able to move out and find a room, a studio, or even a room of his own, because they're charging like at least $1,000 for even a room now. And it's just, and I know from having checked into this that 50% of former foster youth end up homeless at one time or another, and that's just a huge percentage. So I think that, and I think in a lot of ways the young people are the ones that are feeling the brunt of a lot of this, because some of us have had some, we grew up in a different time, and so we maybe have a little cushion, some people, but hardly any of the young people have a cushion. And that, to me, that's
Takes away their hope.
yeah, it does. It takes away their hope, and anyway.
What I am noticing, though, and this became really evident in a program that we were part of just recently that was talking about the people in Flint and what was happening about the public services just being taken away, their water being, they didn't have clean water anymore. Almost everybody knows this story because there's amazing organizing about it all over the country. And we had a person from there come and speak to us at a program here. And one thing that was exciting to me about that program is we were drawing connections between what's happening there and what's happening here. And for Detroit and for Flint, water is a huge, huge issue. Even living in Detroit, water costs too much, and people are losing their homes over water bills. But it got poisoned in Flint. But here, the biggest problem is this tech takeover of everything, and that they have so much political power because instead of paying taxes, they basically tell politicians what to do. And I think I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the thing that was most important to me, most exciting to me about this program and what I'm seeing happening in the activism that's happening here in our own community is that young people are becoming, and the activism that's happening around the movement that Bernie is talking about, is there are so many young people that are coming, that are getting involved.
Yes.
And it gives me a lot of hope. And I hope that we also can find ways to stay engaged with these folks and, work together so, that they don't lose hope if things don't go their way, But they're inspiring. They're really, the people from Debug and the people that were at that program are really inspiring. Sorry, I kind of want to.
We should invite people to come to the Low Income Self-Help Center.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Please come and join us. It's an exciting old new group. And you're welcome to come to a Community for Change meeting anytime. And it's the second Sunday of every month at 3 o'clock, and the food is amazing. And then we also meet a second time during the month. That's where this program grew out of. So please call us at 408-977-1275 or stop by the center at 525 West Alma, San Jose, 95125.
We're a very friendly, non-judgmental group, and we really want you to come.